My dear learners, I'm just going to launch a series of the poems of John Keats, and in this series, the first poem that I'm going to take up is Ode to a Nightingale. Keats is one of the most celebrated odes written in 1819. It was claimed by Keats's friend Charles Armitage Brown that Keats had written this poem in a one day, sitting under the shade of a tree, where he had heard a nightingale singing in his own garden. Let us look at this poem and try to understand and enjoy this beautiful ode from the pen of John Keats. But before heading straightway into the poem, I would like to explain you first what do you mean by ode. Ode is a kind of a poem that is generally written in the form of the address. Address, a direct way of speaking to someone. Ode is a kind of a poem that is generally based on some serious, some important issue. Something is celebrated in the ode. Just like in this poem, John Keats is celebrating the song of the nightingale. That very particular song of the nightingale that has been entertaining the people, entertaining the lovelorns, or entertaining the people in the low spirit for a long time, for many, many generations. So here, John Keats is actually talking about the song, talking about that voice, not talking about that nightingale. So let us look into the poem and celebrate it and enjoy it. So let's look at the poem. My heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains my sense as though of hemlock I had drunk. So these are the first two lines of the poem, in which the poet says that my heart aches. He feels a kind of a pain. He feels a kind of a pain. He feels a kind of a sensation. That sensation one gets just before dying. It seems as if he's losing the sensation of his own body. As if his body is almost stopped working. He says, my sense as though of hemlock I had drunk. So he says, it seems as if his brain is losing control over his own body. He's just going to stop feeling, as if he has drunk some poison like hemlock. He says, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains. So again, third line again he says that I have a kind of a feel that I have drunk some poisonous drink, and that poisonous drink has started working on me. Why? Because now I'm losing the sensation, that life sensation. It seems as if my brain is losing control over my body. He says he gets this kind of a feeling. See the next line. 1 minute passed and the Lethe wards had sunk. So Lethe, Lethe, Lethe is a river in the Greek mythology, a river of the underworld. It is said that those who, particularly the deads, if the deads just drank the water of this river, they forgot all about the memories of their earthly life. So it seems as if he has drunk. He has drunk the water of that river of forgetfulness and feels a kind of oblivion. It seems as if his memory is getting wiped out. His brain is getting wiped out of the memories related to this earthly life. Why? Because he has this kind of a feel. See the next line. It is not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thy happiness. So here he's trying to make his stand clear that if he is getting this kind of a feel, if he has this kind of a feeling, it's not because he feels jealous. He feels jealous of the nightingale that has been singing so sweetly, that has been so happy. If she's singing, it means she is happy. So here he is trying to make his stand or make his point clear to the nightingale that nightingale should not take him, should not take his expressions, should not take his all these feelings in a negative sense. That if he feels like that, it's all because of not liking the song of the nightingale. But if he has this kind of a feel that he is forgetting his own existence on this earth, it's because he's extremely happy. His happiness knows no bound after hearing the song of the nightingale. The song of the nightingale has a magical impact on John Keats. The impact of the song of the nightingale is so strong on him that it seems as if he's losing himself. He's losing his consciousness. And he's slipping into a kind of a trance, unable to understand, unable to just understand what is going on around him. Where is he? So here is making the nightingale clear that nightingale must not take John Keats in a negative sense. Nightingale must take Keats in a positive sense, that if Keats has this kind of a feel, it's all because that Keats is extremely happy to hear the song of the nightingale. See the next line of the poem. That thou, light-winged triad of the trees, in some melodious plot, he says that thou art. He says that your song is almost everywhere. It has pervaded almost everywhere. It has pervaded the jungle. The song of the nightingale can be heard everywhere. Just like it is said that the dryad was a nymph. Dryad was a kind of a spirit of the jungle, whose spirit could be felt almost everywhere. In the same manner here, the song of the nightingale could be heard everywhere. But one thing is clear, that he is only hearing the song of the nightingale. Nightingale is out of the view of the poet. Poet does not know where the nightingale is, what is the actual location of the nightingale. Why? Because the poet cannot see the nightingale, just as P.B. Shelley is unable to see the skylark in his poem To a Skylark, but he only feels the presence of the skylark in the sky only by hearing its song. In the same manner here, nightingale is out of the view of the poet, but the poet can hear the song of the nightingale. See the next line of the poem. Of beech and green and shadows numberless, singest of summer in full-throated ease. So here he has made this He has made this point also clear that it is probably the summer season. Summer season, you know that summer season is the beautiful season in England and in those countries that experience severe cold. But you know, the summer is so horrible in the tropics. So here the season mentioned in the poem is summer. And see the location of the poem. Location of the poem, or the setting of the poem, is some part of the nature, lush green jungle or lush green, just a place, lush green place. See the next line of the poem. Singest of summer in full throated ease. So he says how the nightingale is singing effortlessly. The nightingale does not have to make an effort of singing so sweet. Why? Because it is absolutely natural. It is natural, particularly for the nightingale to sing, and that's why the song of the nightingale is coming out absolutely natural. In a very natural manner, the song is coming out. See, for a draught of vintage that hath been cooled a long age in the deep delved earth. So see, now here just Keats has a strong desire for a drink. That drink that has a flavor of that very particular place where it has been aged for a long time and cooled for a long time in the depth of the earth. Now he desires for a drink to drink. Tasting of flora and the country green, dance and provincial song and sunburnt mirth. So he says, just as he may have seen people somewhere just drunk and singing and dancing, expressing their great joy without caring about the sun and the burn the sun causes to their skin. In the same manner here, just you can say that here the song of the nightingale is doing wonder, particularly for this poet whose life is so painful in this very particular world. You see this. See, oh, for a beaker full of warm south, full of the true, the blushful hypocrite, with beaded bubbles winking at the brim and purple stained mouth. So again he just talks about the impact of the liquor on the human. That if a man drinks, how does his face become red like the liquor? And how does he react? How does he express? All these. So if a man has an extreme kind of a great kind of a happiness and joy and expresses his happiness and joy after getting drunk, that same kind of impact the song of the nightingale has on the poet, on the speaker of the poem. And purple stained mouth, that I might drink and leave the world unseen. So he says that why does he want the liquor? Why does he want the drink? Because he wants to leave this world. He wants to forget about the sufferings of this world. That's why he wants to drink. Or he also wants to tell, this is the impact of the song of the nightingale, that this song is helping him to forget the suffering of this world, forget his own suffering, forget his own pain. See, he says, that I might drink and leave the world unseen, and with thee fade away into the forest dim. So he says that I want to drink something, means I want to drink the liquor, I want to drink the melody of your song, and I want to get lost. I want to get lost in that jungle you are singing. I just want to leave. I just want to make an escape from this earthly world, or from this world where people only and only suffer, people only and only have just problems and complications in life. See this. Fade far away, dissolve and quite forget what thou among the leaves hast never known. So he says that I want to drink something, means I want to drink your song. I want to drink the ecstasy of your song, and I want to forget all about the experiences, all about the pains of this world, of which you are absolutely unknown and unaware. You are absolutely unaware of the sufferings of my world, means suffering of the world of the humans. The human world is full of sufferings, full of problems, and full of so many diseases and things that John Keats is the part of. So he says that he wants to drink and he wants to forget all the pains of this world. See this next. The weariness, the fever, and the fret, here where men sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few sad last grey hairs. So now here is talking about the suffering of this world. How much suffering this human world has, or this human world is full of sufferings. Here he has seen people sitting with one another and talking about their suffering. One man is relating the tale of his own suffering to the other to the other, so on and so forth. Here he has seen the disease palsy shaking the old people, making the life of the old people absolutely miserable. He has seen the people losing the last grey hair from their head. Here he has seen all that, and that's why he does not want to be the part of this world where there is only suffering and not a single moment of joy. See the next line of the poem. What does the poet speak further? Where youth grow pale and spectre thin and dies. So he said, this is the world where he has seen a young man, growing thin and reducing to the bag of bones. So if here John Keats is talking about this kind of a youth, definitely he may have in his own mind that painful, that sorrowful demise of his own brother. His own brother had breathed his last in the arms of John Keats. He had seen him growing thin and reducing to the bag of bones, and at last his brother had lost its life in the arms of John Keats. So see these sufferings. See the personal experience or personal life of John Keats is reflecting through his lines. See the next line. Where but to think is to be full of sorrow and leaden eye despair. So he has seen people's eye heavy with the sufferings, heavy with the sorrows, Here he has seen people losing their health, losing their beauty, losing their almost everything. This world he talks about. And all these pains, all these sufferings, this nightingale does not know. If she knew, probably she would not be able to sing so sweetly. She's been singing. See this. Where beauty cannot keep her lustrous eyes, or new love pine at them beyond tomorrow. Away, away, for I will fly to thee. So he says, now I can no longer stay in this world. I will definitely fly to you without any further ado. Why? Because see the suffering of this world. I have seen a young man losing his health and at last losing his life. He says now away and away. He's asking the bird to fly because he wants to fly behind the bird. Now he is going to cancel out the liquor, this and that. Why? Because he says now he will fly behind the bird by using the unseen wings of poesy. That is poetry. See this. Not charioted by Bacchus. Bacchus is the god of wine and merriment, according to Roman mythology or probably the Greek mythology. So he says, I'm not going to take any aid from all this intoxicated drink I have made mention. I'm not going to take any intoxicant. Now I will use the power of my imagination. And that power of imagination of mine will help me fly away from this world into the world of the nightingale. See this next slide. But on the viewless wings of poesy, though the dull brain perplexes and retards, already with thee tender is the night, and happily the queen moon is on her throne. So see, at last, here the poet has succeeded in making a safe transportation from this world into the world of the nightingale. He has transported himself into the world of the nightingale, and here when he just finds himself in the world of the nightingale, it is the night time. And how is the night? Night is very soft, tender, beautiful night. He can see the moon just spreading its luster. How is the moon? How does the moon look like? Just like a queen with all its stars all around it. See, clustered around by all her starry face, but here there is no light, save what from heaven is with the breezes blown through vaporous glooms and winding mossy ways. So here the poet can see the just a moon surrounded by just a beautiful stars from all these sides. But he says the place where the poet is, there is no light. Why? Because the jungle is so thick, the jungle is so dense that the moon, the light of the moon is unable to penetrate through the leaves and the just branches of the trees of the jungle, and unable to reach the ground of the earth. That's why he says he cannot see those flowers. He cannot see those flowers. He cannot see those plants grown all around him. But his senses are so strong that he can smell them, and on the basis of their fragrance, he can tell us what kind of flowers or plants are grown all around him. See this. I cannot see what flowers are at my feet, nor what soft incense hangs upon the boughs, but in embalmed darkness guess each sweet, wherewith the sensible month endows the grass, the thicket, and the fruit tree wild. So he says that there's so much darkness. The darkness is so dark that he cannot see those plants and trees grown all around him, but he can tell their name on the basis of their smell. See these strong senses of the poet, and that's why John Keats is called a sensuous poet. Why? Because he feels the nature through his senses. Same here he's doing. He said, though there is not enough light to see those plants and trees and flowers all around him, but he can tell their names only by catching their smell. See, he's making mention of some flowers and some plants like white hawthorn and the pastoral eglantine, fast fading violets covered up in leaves, and May's eldest child, the coming musk rose full of dewy wine, the murmurous haunt of flies on summer eve. So here he says that I know one thing very well, that white hawthorn is there, eglantine is there, just violets are there, musk rose there. So all these plants, all these flowers are there, though he cannot see them. And he can imagine those bees and flies just fluttering and humming all around these just plants and flowers in the evening, just in the evening time in the summer season. See the strong sensuousness of the poet. See the neckline of the poem. Darkling I listen, and for many a time I have been half in love with easeful death. Called him soft names in many amused rhyme. So see, there's a beautiful lines, and see the pain of the poet coming out in the form of these beautiful lines of his poem. He says, darkling I listen, in the dark I listen, and for how many a time I have been half in love with easeful death. So here the poet is also making one thing clear, that poet had maybe considered suicide many times. The thought of this suicide probably crossed his mind many times. Why? Because his life was so much full of pain and sufferings that sometimes, not once or twice, but probably many times, he considered suicide. He contemplated suicide, but maybe at the 11th hour he realized that it's absolutely illogical, absolutely not right at all to take one's life. Again, when Nightingale is pouring out her melody, the poet is in such a kind of a trance that again here for a moment he wants to die. He wants to die listening to the song of the nightingale, and soon his body will become absolutely dust-like. His ear will become useless, particularly for the song of the nightingale. See this. To take into the air my quiet breath, now more than ever seemed it rich to die, to cess upon the midnight with no pain, while thou art just pouring forth thy soul abroad in such an ecstasy. So he says, I wish I could die. If I had my ways, if I could take my own choice of, if I could just take a choice of, if I had in my own hand to die, I think this time this time would be the best time, particularly for my death, to die hearing your melody, without feeling the pain of the death. Still wouldn't then sing, still wouldst sorry thou sing, and I have years in vain to thy high requiem become a sword. So he says, I wish I could lose my life hearing the beautiful song of hearing your beautiful song. Thou wast not born for death, immortal bird, no hungry generation tread thee down. Very important line and a very good example of tautology, pleonasm. Here the poet says that you, bird, you are not born for death. Your song was heard long, long ago by kings and queens, princes, and here I am hearing your song. So here he is talking not about this bird, but talking about the song, talking about the voice of this bird. See this. The voice I hear this passing night was heard in ancient days by emperor and clown, perhaps the self same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth. When sick for home, she stood in tears amid the alien corn. So he said that the song I am hearing, this song was also heard by the kings and clowns in the primitive time, in the ancient time. And this song, the song of the nightingale, was also heard by that biblical character Ruth, who had married to a man in the foreign land. She had married a man to the foreign land, and after marrying that man, she had got settled on that foreign land, but at a certain time, she lost her husband. But yet, she decided to live there with her mother-in-law. But there was time in her own life she felt very sad, she felt low in spirit, standing in her cornfield and missed her homeland. But at that time, this song of the nightingale had entertained that very particular girl, had helped that girl just suppressing her pain or forgetting about her pain. That same song is here entertaining this very particular person in the poem. She stood in tears, this line, the same that oft times hath charmed magic casements opening on the foam of perilous seas in fairy lands forlorn. So he said this song may be heard by, may be entertained the heart of that lovelorn person living or imprisoned in a kind of a castle whose windows open to the perilous seas. So the song of this bird found way straightway into that very particular castle where some lovelorn person or some person was locked or some girl was locked, and that woman felt very sad and upset. But hearing the song of the nightingale, she felt a little bit better. See, the forlorn very word is like a bell to toll me back from thee to my soul self. But here the poet, this forlorn word all of a sudden makes the poet realize that how long one can run away from the sufferings of this earthly life. We cannot run away from our own suffering for a long time. We will have to face it. We'll have to bear it. And yes, same happens to the poet. Now he is unable to continue himself in the world of the nightingale. Now here he is to get back to the world of the mortal, full of sorrows and sufferings. He says adieu, bye-bye. He says, what? The fancy cannot cheat so well as she is fain to do, deceiving elf. Adieu, adieu, die plenty, anthem fades. Now it seems to him that the song of the nightingale, or the sound of the song of the nightingale, is getting away from her. It means the nightingale is getting away from the poet, away from the speaker. It's all because of that the song of the nightingale is slowly and slowly fading, getting away from the earshot of the poet or the speaker. Now he is unable to hear the song of the nightingale. Why? Because the song of the nightingale is fading and fading. Why? Because probably the nightingale is flying away and away from him. See the last concluding lines of the poem. Past the near meadows, over the still stream, up the hillside, and now 'tis buried deep in the next valley clays. So now here he says, at last he can no longer hear the song of the nightingale. Why? Because probably the nightingale has gone far away from the speaker, so far away that he can no longer hear the song of the nightingale. See the last two concluding lines of the poem, which are very important. See, was it vision or a waking dream? Fled is that music, do I wake or sleep? So here the poet is unable to understand whether in reality just he had been hearing the song of the nightingale and he was in the world of the nightingale, or it was just his own imagination which kind of deceived him. Because see, right in the beginning of the poem he says that probably he's in a kind of influence, is a kind of under the impression of the some just alcoholic thing. Now he's unable to understand whether in reality he had been hearing the song of the nightingale, he was in the world of the nightingale, or it was just a waking dream. His imagination has a kind of cheated him. It was the just excessive thinking and all that made him a kind of made him slip in a kind of a trance. And now all of a sudden he has come out of a trance, and that's why it seems to him he is unable to understand whether really he heard the nightingale or was it only a waking dream. So that's it in this poem, my dear learners. I hope my explanation will help you understand this poem better. If you get some complication, feel free to write me. Thank you for watching this video, my dear learners.